well. How are you?
Good, how are you? I don't know if I believe that. It was a good meeting. Whatever.
The conference,
Yeah,
ULUI?
conference. Yeah, thank you.
Were you online?
I was online, yeah.
So did it come across okay?
Yeah, it did. It was really good actually online. Yeah, they like made it pretty clear about what they're doing, so you knew what they were talking about. So I could hear your come back on at a specific time. So I liked it. It was good.
Good.
It worked out just right.
Good. Yeah, I thought it was a good conference. There was a lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff. Really interesting.
There really was.
Yeah. But still with all your on the hills.
Yeah.
Okay. It is March 26, 2026, and this is a meeting of the Kaysville City Planning Commission. Welcome. First up, any declaration of conflict of interest? All right, we will move then into our agenda. Agenda item number 3, a conditional use permit for an instructional home occupation for Vale Aquatics at 2247 West Summerfield Way for Tanner Vale.
So this evening, yes, I always encourage you to speak in the microphone. I shall do the same. This is a little bit of a different conditional use permit than what we've had before or had come before us, only in the regards that this will be the second conditional use permit requested or applied for this property. Back in 2024, if you remember, a home instruction or an instructional home occupation conditional use permit was also applied for Krista Wadsden at this same location. The home that we'll be talking about this evening is located at 2247 West Summerfield Way, and this is for Tanner Vale. This is Tanner is wanting to do a home instruction or an instructional home occupation in swim instructions here at this location. Krista Wadsden was the previous applicant who is still doing swim lessons at this location, and there was still available time during the day to add another swim instructor, I guess is what we would say. So Mr. Vale has planned on doing one-on-one private swim lessons for individuals ranging from infant to teenagers, and there will be up to 2 swimming. So in the application, he just shared that he'll have up to 2 swimming instructors, and lessons will be scheduled Monday through Friday with lessons lasting 20 minutes with a maximum of 16 sessions a day. So let's see. Clients are instructed to park along the public street in front of the Darrington residence, which the homeowner is here this evening as well for any questions, to maintain safety and minimize disruption in the neighborhood. Mr. Vale, we've discussed, we've had several complaints from code enforcement complaints come in regards to this property with parking concerns that started back in February, and that's kind of how this all came together. I started working with the first conditional use with Krista. She's the first conditional use owner, and just talking to her about parking situations. The neighbors have been a little concerned with parking. So as you can see here, the home is on a corner. And let me show you, this is from street view. So you've got property in front of the home and property to the side. So they've got plenty of room to instruct their patrons to park with proximity to the home. The home or the street on the far left is Bonneville Lane, and then in the front of the home is the Summerfield Way. So, as a conditional use, the instructional home occupation, there's conditions that are already placed within the ordinance itself to help make it so that the impact on the neighborhood is as minimal as possible, to help with safety and different effects that come from a home occupation. So as per our Kaysville City Code 1726 4B, that's our instructional home occupation, and 1738, here are a few conditions that could be placed if planning commissioners see necessary for this applicant. Number of instructors, number of vehicles, number of students, time between sessions, adequate access without detrimental effects on streets, safe circulation of vehicles and pedestrians, adequate access for public safety services, and adequate off-street parking on the site. So these are some things that we can discuss this evening. And then recommended conditions based on findings is that there could be a minimum of 20 minutes in between sessions, a minimum of 30 minutes between the conditional use applicant A and B, which would be Tannerville. Instructor needs to park in driveway. All patrons should be notified that they can't park within 15 feet of fire hydrants, which is a 30-foot clearance, so 15 feet on each side, or block driveways. And then pick up and drop off could potentially be on Bonneville Lane. Let me go back to the home right here. You can see on Bonneville Lane, which is on the far right-hand side. If they parked on Bonneville Lane, they could just use the backyard to walk across since there's not a fence in that location. So staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit for the instructional home occupation business at 2247 West Summerfield Way for Vail Aquatics with any conditions that you feel necessary based on the standards from 1738 and 1726 4B. The applicant is here as well as the homeowner. And I was going to say one other thing, that we've received 2 letters. I believe that you guys you commissioners received those. One was today and then one was yesterday from 2 of the residents in that neighborhood. And then we've also received 2 phone calls. One was a neighbor lady that was not wanting, she is in favor of this service, thinks it's a good service for our community, which it is. Tanner will be teaching infants and toddlers how to swim at a very young age, so there's safety that comes, in knowing how to do that. So she just recommended that maybe the parking situation perhaps be remedied a little bit and just park on Bonneville, which is one of the conditions placed this evening or suggested. And then the other one was just calling on the sign. There's nothing like having a city sign in the front of your yard to draw a little attention from the neighbors. So anyway, we're recommending approval of this conditional use permit with any conditions that you as commissioners see necessary based on our standards. And I'll turn the time over to you all.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for staff?
I do have some questions, but I can ask. It can ask both the staff and the applicant
Okay.
if that works.
Mr. Vale, right? Do you have anything you want to add, or do you want to? We might have a few questions for you too. It sounds like so.
I'm pretty loud.
Well, it records.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I mean these survival swim lessons are super important and very rare to find. Everybody tries to do public lessons or group lessons, and they honestly never work. And so there's a great need for these kinds of swim lessons for the community. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we can do whatever we need in order to keep that going for all the kids in the community.
So
Permission to speak.
this talks about lessons being one-on-one and the maximum of 2 instructors. So does that mean there will only be a maximum of 2 students at a time? Is that how you're doing it now?
There's 2 students.
Is that how it's being done now?
Yes. And that's
So I'm just curious as what's causing the big traffic problem if,
That's what we're not.
and some kids are siblings, so there's one car.
yeah.
So there's one car, and then it gets swapped out with one other car the next 20 minutes.
I mean, when I read the comments, I was thinking, oh, gee, there must be, like a herd coming in. But when I read this and then now talking, I thought, well, if you're only talking about 1 or 2 students showing up at a time.
Well, and ultimately, an instructional home occupation allows up to 4 instructors
Yeah.
and 12 students. So this is very minimal.
Yeah, okay, that
Considering-
was my question.
And I think it seemed like your information answered the question I had, which was that the idea that you would never be instructing students at the same time as the other conditional use permit holder.
No.
So,
Never
I mean, you're not going to pile up with extra traffic and stuff, so. That was the only thing I felt like I needed to clear up for me. But any other questions that we have?
I do. I have a question for you, Mr. Bell.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to recommend a cap on, how many clients you guys can have. It's a business, right?
Yeah.
And you need to make profit and whatnot.
Yeah.
Regarding the home and where the customers park, is it okay if they could park on the east side of the house on Bonneville?
They don't care if they have to park a mile away for these lessons.
Really?
They'll drive an hour for 20 minutes, and they'll drive an hour back home, and they're back. So
Okay.
they don't mind parking wherever they need to be, so.
So you're good with the instructors parking in the driveway and then the customers parking like to the east of the home on
Whatever
Bonneville?
we need to do, that's how important these lessons are. We're willing to make those changes.
Okay. What about a time frame in transition between those customers coming over? Let's say you have 2 customers, right, 20-minute session, and then there's a time frame there where you're transitioning between another 2 customers coming in.
That's where it's a little bit tougher because it is, we're there for 3-4 hours. And so to have so many breaks in between each of these kids, and we're only really teaching half the amount of time that we're there. So preferably it is, 20 minutes. It's just 3 kids an hour per instructor. And so that overlap, it would be a little bit harder to accommodate, to have like breaks in between. That would be the only thing, but we would make anything work, so.
I think the transition is to cut down on the traffic. I think that's what we're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have for you.
And another thing is, usually on the last day, all family wants to show up and see their little baby or little kid show off and do everything. And so sometimes grandparents come and aunts come. And we can definitely send a message out and communicate and say, hey, on the last day, you only carpool. Sorry, grandparents can come, but parents can't come. But, whatever needs to happen, we can communicate that and make the necessary change.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
What will be the hours of operation?
It's usually like max 3 to, starting at 3, ending at 7. But, there's been many times where it's start at 3:40 and end at 6:20, so even shorter amount of time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, a question. Not so much for our applicant, but is staff's recommendations based upon the breaks that we saw on our screen?
On the breaks.
So those were suggested breaks, or are you recommending that those be included?
So with the instructional home occupation, in our ordinance itself, let me see. It is suggested, it is recommended or required to have a 15-minute break in between each session. And I can pull that up if you'd like.
Yeah, go back to that slide.
Go back to, you want to go back?
You had a slide that showed
Suggestions?
some,
Okay, hold on. I'm doing this. I'm going
Yeah, our applicant,
This one or this one?
In 7.
well, I won't speak for you,
Yeah.
Tanner, but it sounds like you'd rather not have these, but I think staff's recommendation and our permit rules, if that's the right word, require these, or are there recommended conditions
In
to granting this type of permit?
1726 4B and then number 16, it says instruction sessions shall have a minimum of 10 minutes between scheduled sessions to reduce pickup and drop-off vehicle congestion. We looked at the last application, it said there would be 15 minutes. And so the recommendation is 20, because if 15 minutes is creating traffic congestion, then we thought it should be a little longer.
So the letter of the law is 10. Kristen's application was granted at 15.
Right.
And, okay.
There is our, you guys, look at what I'm doing. This is so cool. I'm doing a good job. So here's your instructional home occupation. I've never been able to do this before. It's usually a massive fail. So.
The parking changes may work just as well. It's really up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's another way we can lighten that congestion, rather than having so much space in between, because if lessons are only 20 minutes rather than an hour, now over a few hours, you spend half the time just waiting, kind of spending that time, where another child can be taught and learn these skills in that same time. If there's another way to fix that problem of congestion, I'm all in for it.
Tanner, what's your understanding of where you should park?
Where I should park?
You.
I think the driveway is what was said.
Mhm.
And thankfully, their house has.
And is that where Kristen is parking?
I never see her. We don't work the same hour. I don't know where she parks.
I see.
But currently I've just been parking in front of the home, telling everyone to park behind me. Sometimes grandparents come and they don't know. They're just parking
Sure.
wherever, and so we can really crack down on, you can't go anywhere else other than right here. And, yeah, I think even parents would be okay with dropping their kid off and going somewhere else for 20 minutes, not even parking anywhere, whatever, they would be willing to do whatever to have their kid taught, without causing any issues.
One more question for staff. I missed it. I went there today. I even took a couple of photos, but none of them have the fire hydrant in it. Is that across the street? Where's it at?
Yeah, the fire hydrant is across the street to the neighbor. No, it's up. It's to the next door.
Fire hydrant's actually down the street, in front of the neighbor's property. And
Down being west?
yes,
Okay.
So not directly in front of the home.
so I've never seen a car park in front of that fire hydrant.
Okay.
That is sorry.
And tell me, who's addressing us?
I'm Jim Darrington, I'm the property owner.
Thank you.
So, I am with Tanner, and the thing that we can accommodate greater parking, we have extended the driveway as big and wide, and if that would help, we can allow people to park in the driveway. But from the perspective of him being able to be most effective, big gaps between his lessons makes it very hard for him to then be an effective person, because he's only doing 20-minute lessons, whereas Krista has an hour-long lessons. And she only teaches usually either one or maybe a small group. So 15 minutes for her was not a big deal because her lessons are long, his lessons are 20 minutes. So it's not really the same apples to apples, just for awareness. Because you had that question, obviously Tanner doesn't know that. She only teaches a couple of times a week at most. She'll go weeks without teaching at all. But she also teaches in mornings, whereas Tanner is after school. So they never are anywhere near each other at time. If that helps.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Appreciate
And,
that.
also, Mr. Darrington, it appears you've added some concrete, a little pad to what I'm going to call the east side of your driveway.
Yes, yes. That is also an
That was unoccupied. Is that, could your instructors park there?
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who to address this to, but I'm just trying to be sensitive to the individuals who sent letters kind of opposing. With Krista, how many students are in one of her classes? What's the most she has in a class? Do we know that information? Do you have an idea what that is?
Most of the time, it's one-on-one or very small groups, like 2 or 3.
Okay, so she's not having large classes either then? Okay. Thank you.
And when her instructional home occupation came, there were not any additional conditions placed on her at that time as far as hours or parking or numbers. I think her classes were like 3 to 5 maybe at the most, 45-minute lessons on Saturdays and then an occasional Tuesday. So.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll let you sit down, so you don't have to stand here the whole time. Here's my takeaway, kind of my thoughts. You know, the city, it is important for us when we grant these conditional use permits that it doesn't become an impediment upon the community, the neighbors, and parking is part of that. Having said that, looking at the roads that are here, I mean, there is a lot of space to park, and on-street parking is completely legal, and there's quite a bit of it. I think it seems to me that the issue more is education than quantity. You know, educating parents, hey, please don't park in front of, you know, in front of driveways, and I feel like there's an easy solution there. We don't have to really jump through a lot of hoops because there really is a lot of space here. It's just trying to get the customers to make sure that they're, you know, what everybody does, you know, trying not to park in front of driveways and things. I don't feel like we need 20 full minutes. If 10 is what's required, I'm okay with that, but if the commission wants more time, I'm not opposed to that either. Those are kind of my thoughts, just to lead things off.
You know, the question, the issue you just raised about 10 minutes versus 20, and I'm looking at the 30 minutes between the two different conditional use permits, and I'm wondering, why do we need 30 minutes?
It would, if there was ever overlap on the day that maybe Krista was teaching the same day as Tanner, that Krista can get all of her stuff out clearly.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then it would be so that Tanner could come in and have his without any confusion or extra, you know. So it would only be if there was an overlap, but it sounds like there should not be any overlap where Krista is morning sessions, Tanner should be at the night.
Yeah.
But it is a good condition to
Yeah,
put in there just in case.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So it
Thank
closes
you.
up one session and then allows for the next instructor to come in.
I appreciate, Aries, your comment that we try to craft a solution that doesn't make the business economically unviable. But I'm struggling for the right way to do that we address the parking issue, and if we want to really be in the business of gaps or times between clients.
So when I took a look at the neighbors' complaints, you know, the major complaint was, you know, it was blocking their driveways, right, parking in front of the fire hydrant and whatnot. Some of the neighbors were kind of pulling out and they couldn't see around cars, right? And so we don't want to be in the business of approving it and then we left those instances in the permit, right, unresolved. Okay, so I think if we're picking up and dropping off and potentially parking for the customers on Bonneville, And then, Mr. Darrington, you stated it's okay if the customers park in the driveway as well, right? Or is,
It does make it easier for everyone involved. I mean, to your point earlier, sir, if he's having to put as much gap as he is actually teaching, then it's not an economic, it doesn't make economic sense for him. 50% of his time he can't teach.
yeah,
I mean, that's, anytime we start talking about a 20-minute gap in sessions, that means he's only teaching 50% of his time. And he's only able to actually do his job 50% of his time. That's pretty, I mean, this isn't like always doing an hour or 2 hour session, and he's, doing a 10%. It's literally 50% of his time. If we can accommodate the parking, I think that would be, just my opinion, it gives him a solution that actually works, because otherwise it's probably he's going to look for somewhere else. I'm just saying that, and that means our community doesn't benefit of having this service local.
Yeah.
And because it is an indoor pool, he's able to do this year round. Kids that need it, where so many other options, they only have the summers, which, that's a much more limited opportunity for kids. So I'm agreeing with you, sir. I think you're very attuned to this.
yeah.
Makes sense.
And the standard, I mean, as you stated earlier, the standard is 10 minutes, right? But what was approved in the other conditional use permit was 15. So we're in between those. We're at 5 minutes here, right? That's where we're at. So I like the idea of a 10-minute gap in between the sessions, if possible. I don't know how my colleagues feel about that. And the pickup, drop-off, Bonneville Lane, potentially parking Bonneville Lane, and the driveway. Hopefully that resolves the parking issue, especially with the neighbors.
Sounds like you're ready to make a motion, Harry's.
I think that 10-minute break, if you think about 5 minutes of the kids coming to the car, addressing, changing, whatever they need to do with a 5-minute early client for their time, right? 5 to 10 minutes. You're looking at like 6 cars, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, with a small number of people,
Yeah.
it's,
So would Bonneville, that's the side road, correct? Would that accommodate and just not having parking within the neighborhood? I don't know if that's something that we could enforce, but would it accommodate it?
If you'll come
Sure.
up to the, yeah.
Sorry. I am Tiara Bell, Tanner Bell's wife. I teach with him. But something to be aware of is majority of these people who come, they come with multiple children. So it's one car and they have 4 kids or one mom with 2 kids. So that is less traffic, just something to
Okay, but we're just
consider.
saying like maximum. Say you had one
Totally.
student in one car,
Totally.
one student in another one.
Yeah.
We'd say
And it's
maybe
sometimes
like 6
changing
cars.
diapers and then slowly
Yeah.
getting in and out.
Right, because it will take some time to take your kid in and out to get to
Mm-hmm.
your meeting. And I think that's part of the things that we're trying to accommodate.
Totally.
So I'm just wondering, would Bonneville relieve that congestion that has caused a complaint within the neighborhood?
I think it would. Yeah.
Being that you've seen it?
Sorry.
Yeah, if you'll come
Come
up.
to this.
Just a point to accentuate what you said there. She has clients that come with multiple kids. They're back-to-back sessions. Are you going to require them to leave? I mean, so that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying, the overlap right there, right? You've got people coming
No,
that are
no.
going to be leaving and people that are coming to go.
I didn't explain it very
Yeah.
well. She has parents that come with multiple kids.
Right.
So they're back-to-back.
I understand that.
So they're 2 sessions right next to each other.
Right.
But are we saying that they only need the gap if it's a different people coming in?
No, I'm just saying in general, you've got groups coming in and it's not like they're gonna be like, okay, I'm on my 20-minute mark, I'm out. I'm on my 20-minute mark, I'm in. I'm just saying there's some overlap, there's a little bit of overlap. Trying to think about the neighbors concerned with the congestion of the parking.
Oh, I agree. I don't think I'm actually explaining it well. What I'm saying is if they book the same family for multiple sessions, they don't have to do, I'm asking, are you prepositioning that they have to wait 10 minutes between their sessions? Or does it just become one long session for for the entire family.
The intent of the condition is for pickup and drop off.
Okay,
So I think
Yeah.
you could define a session as a family if you wanted to.
Yeah.
All right, good. Just want to
I
make sure
think you're
that
saying the
was
same
being
thing.
clarified.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's more what I'm looking at is the pickup and the drop-off, just thinking about what would stack up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the amount of kids coming in the one car or anything like that, not that.
Mm-hmm.
Just
The
the pickup
crossover.
and the crossovers.
Piece.
Right.
I understand now. And just for awareness, there is changing facilities in the building. It has
Okay.
both a bathroom and a shower,
Yeah.
changing area, so
Yeah,
it's all right there in the building.
that sounds very, very nice.
Mr. Darrington,
Yes.
about how many cars can park on that east side of the home?
East side. So the east side is, as you can see, it doesn't have it, it's about 125 feet, give or
Yeah.
take. And the front of the house is 90 feet. So I mean, you can easily park, if people are parking responsibly, 5 to 6 cars along each of those things legally and without issues. The few instances where we've seen in the past where obviously the neighbors are complaining about is where people chose to park on the other side of the street.
Right.
And unfortunately, it is a little weird. I don't know if you saw in the picture, the other side of the street, because the neighbor put in a double driveway. And so people are confused. And to that end, it's like, there's really no reason why they should be doing that. The patrons should be being more courteous. They should be parking along the property by which they're actually servicing. And I think that that really makes the most sense. There's no reason they should need to park across the street. And when anytime we've seen anyone, I'm gonna say discourteously park, we've pointed it out and said, hey, you guys need to be more, you gotta park appropriately. Don't be trying to park between these tiny little driveway spaces. Park on our side of the street, park on either side. It's just an educational thing, really, is what I think is happening there. But I really think that from the perspective of, it's really not that big a thing as the two neighbors are making it to be. And unfortunately, one of the neighbors' reports, I read it, I was like, I don't know where he's even getting this. He's not had a conversation with me. He claimed that he'd had a conversation with me and there was some disrespect happening. And I'm like, I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years, not since we put up the fence between the two properties. So I'm like, I don't know where he's coming up with this. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm disappointed that we've even have the challenge that we have right now. Well, apologies. But we want this to be good for everyone involved. We're not trying to do anything.
I think we're just trying to understand
Yeah.
what the concern was. And since you live that and you are there, you can tell us what it is.
Well, and to be fair, the neighbor across the street he's interesting. He's actually come over and demanded when I've got people, when I was putting in my yard, he's demanded people not park in front of my property because he wants access to pull his stuff into his secondary garage. And I'm like, these are workers that where I was hiring to put in the yard, to put in the building, parked legally. So take that with a grain of salt as to, he's somebody who likes to complain.
I'm sorry for your frustrations.
Yeah.
But I think you have answered my question as far as, yes, there is on your side and on Bonneville plenty of parking,
Plenty.
even if they need to stay longer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for answering.
Yeah, I think addressing parking would definitely help alleviate the contention, right? Especially with the neighbors in the neighborhood. We want to keep a peaceful neighborhood, right?
Right.
So,
And to that end, it's like, unfortunately, even when there's one car parked legally, he'll come and ask them to move because he wants to be able to go all the way around into this big, it's like a warehouse garage.
yeah.
Has there been any thought to having overage parking in the church parking lot right across the street? Or behind the house?
Well, we can't allow that. That is not our property to say, please use that.
Yeah.
That's the church's property. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the business should not be, it's a home occupation, so it should not be going out that far that it would need to do that. That's why these conditions can be placed. That's why we're, putting gaps and numbers on things. But the church should not be used as a contingency plan.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they would even entertain that kind of a thought. And the reality is, as we've already mentioned, there is an abundance of legal parking in the area, you know.
They are public streets,
Yeah.
which allow for parking, and
it wouldn't be needed. It should never be needed. There's plenty of legal parking, so.
So at the end of that equation that we just did right here, parking's not a problem because there's an abundance of legal parking.
Yeah, if this is me, if there's an issue, it's an issue with people illegally parking, blocking a driveway or blocking a fire hydrant. But I feel like there's plenty of parking very close to the house too.
Yeah, I agree with you.
To accommodate the business, so,
And just like you said, Chair Packer, just an education.
yeah.
to your
Well, and if I
clientele.
understand correctly, you guys come as a pair to teach the lessons, right? So you wouldn't both be bringing a car? So you take 2 cars down to 1 car. Then if you have 1 student and another student, you could potentially have maybe 3 cars with the crossover of a 4th for a couple minutes. And then you're just back down to the 3 cars, which all could fit very comfortably on Bonneville.
We could get them all to ride bikes too, you know, like this is.
Well, we got to teach them how to swim first. There's a
Okay,
process.
yeah. It's a different class, but.
Some of them aren't old enough to ride bikes yet, but maybe that's your next job, teaching them how to ride bikes. But, and I think that's kind of what you're trying to say is you've got one instructor. The instructor will be parking in the driveway, which I think is a good place because then there's not the in and out. I think you park your patrons. You can have 2 patrons, 3 patrons on the side right there on Bonneville Lane. They use the backyard. They go into the back and use that. And so there's not any traffic.
And there's space for grandma and grandpa to come and watch and, you know.
And the other
I feel-
side of the street on Bonneville Lane. So,
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I think our home occupations are to leave very little impact on a neighborhood. That's why we're here. That's why conditions can be placed. And that's the reason for the discussion is to impede, you know, any difficulties with traffic. So we're putting traffic concerns here, safety concerns, and then ultimately just flow of traffic. So that's.
Yeah. I feel like we've tried to really address the concerns of the neighbors and we you know, given that strong thought, so.
And here's the thing, if you don't get it right, it can always come back and we, you know, the neighbors will let us know if we didn't get it right, and then we can readdress the conditional use permit. It comes back. So if we place conditions, if I'm right, Katie, like conditions can be placed if they're not effective or if there's still problems, and then it can still come back and we can have this discussion if needed at another time. But
Yeah. And we'd want to look and see if they're real problems or perceived problems.
For me, I think, you know, I think this is a little bit smaller of a problem than I initially thought perhaps that it was. Knowing that it's only 5, maybe 6 cars, you know, one thing that I think possibly we could do is recommend that all of those cars park on Bonneville or in the driveway. Right. That will eliminate it, you know, a lot of the neighbors' concerns. As far as the turnover, I think there may be some value in keeping the 15 minutes consistent for both conditional uses at the same property with a similar use. Understanding that we want to minimize that turnover for the economic gain of the applicant as much as possible. But I think we can figure this out.
Somebody want to make a recommendation then, or
Well, we're actually approving.
Yeah, are we?
Yeah, I want to make a motion then.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the screen with the recommendations? Yeah. No, yeah, that one. Okay, so I motion that the minimum minutes in between sessions is amended to 10. and the pickup, drop-off, and parking, that last bullet line on Bonneville Lane. Because we have pickup and drop-off, right, but not actually parking.
So pickup, drop-off, and parking? Pickup, drop-off, and parking all be on Bonneville Lane.
Right, because with the home business license, I could understand if it was, this is a regular home, right, and there's individuals that are coming over to visit, right? It's a couple cars, maybe they're there for a couple hours, and then they leave. But with it being this business, right, and you having sessions here every 20 minutes around the clock, essentially, there's an abundance of cars, there's an abundance of traffic, and that's where we ran into those issues with, customers parking on the other side of the street, and, potentially blocking driveways and whatnot, right? So if pickup and drop off and parking is on Bonneville, that alleviates that entire issue. And I think if we address that issue, because that was the concern of the neighbors, then maybe we could bump that time frame down from 20 minutes to maybe 10.
All right, is there a second?
So,
Well, I'm not sure that was a full motion.
no, I was going to say,
Right?
It-
Sorry.
Just floating an idea there, right?
it ought to, yeah, those are some good suggestions for conditions. I would also look at the conditions that are in the staff report, which talks about classes limited to one-on-one swim instruction, no more than 2 instructors at a time. Monday through Friday, not to exceed 20 minutes. Those are also in the recommendations on the staff report.
So if I understand, or you're making a motion to approve the conditional use permit with a minimum of 10 minutes in between sessions and pickup, and with conditions of pickup and drop off and parking be on Bonneville Lane.
Yes.
Could I suggest that we not make that for a hard and fast requirement? Because I think people will inadvertently drive to the front, and, I don't think that would be a basis or should be a basis for invalidating the conditional use permit just because somebody, drove to the front of the house and dropped off their kids rather than driving around to Bonneville, that we make it a recommendation that happen on Bonneville.
Instead of a hard, fast.
Yeah. I'm afraid that if it becomes a hard and fast condition, as soon as somebody drops somebody off on the main street, it's like, okay, their conditional use permit's invalid now, they didn't comply.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I would float the question, do we have the ability to restrict parking since parking is a legal activity, on the street, so.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, if you look at 1738,
Yeah, so I'll work on that in just a minute.
one of the conditions can involve providing adequate off-street parking, providing adequate access for public safety, provide for safe circulation of vehicles and pedestrians. So that is a valid basis of a condition.
Okay.
So we're within the right to restrict parking for the purposes of the business and this permit, right? What if Mr. Darrington or Ms. DeVille has someone that just comes over to visit and hang out for a couple of hours?
Yeah.
Then that shouldn't be a violation of the conditional use permit. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's non-related to the, yeah.
Melinda's so good at this, you guys. She makes it look so easy. There you go. So this is 17-30-8.
You're talking about restricting it to the Bonneville Lane. Is my driveway permissible? If they wanted to pull into my driveway and drop off and pick up, and then they go park in Bonneville Lane, is that?
It is to me.
Yep, I see no issues with that. It's part of your property.
concern too.
That alleviates it, I'm more than happy to make that.
My only concern with that is the safety of backing out of the driveway potentially 36 times a day.
My neighbor has 4 teenagers, and 34 would be a small number.
So does mine, that's why I bring it up. I see what happens and how it goes.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I have 4 teenagers. We park in and out of that driveway probably at least a dozen times a day for the work.
Safely every time, right?
So do we have a motion? I'm confused.
And we could restrict it to one side of the street, you know, if we're doing that, so.
Yeah.
So are we back to?
Back to no motion.
If I may.
So my guess is that the emotion drops.
Died for lack of second, but.
Yeah.
No offense.
There is that.
But we're about to resurrect it here.
So Commissioner
I think-
Toller, is this your
I think
motion?
we're there if, and I think all of your suggestions were good, and what we heard was perhaps we asked that it be limited to, I'm gonna call it the south side of the street in front of the home and the other lane. Having been there today, I think the law of least effort is people are gonna park closer to the swimming pool. And as long as they're not on the other side of the street, that should alleviate the issues with neighbors and seems realistic, or not blocking the fire hydrant. As to timing, I appreciate the comment that for enforcement and consistency with what's already been granted, because permit A is not before us. So let's not have somebody 10, somebody 15, somebody 20. I like the consistency. So I think if you want to bundle something like that, I'm salivating to second.
Interesting choice of words.
So then, where do you fall on the time frame in between sessions? 20?
I think that's too long.
I think 20 is a little high too.
I would say 15.
15.
I can do that.
Okay. Then I have another motion. Okay, can you go back to that other screen, please, with the?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, this is good. I'm getting switched through practices.
Okay, so this motion would be a minimum of 15 minutes in between sessions. Pick up, drop off from Bonneville Lane, as well as, I don't know how to say it, the south. The south. Okay, that's the motion.
So
Thank you, and Mindy, will you insert the name of the street that we're talking about, the south side on?
Let's take a look at it.
Thank you. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, we'll call for the vote then. We'll start at the end here.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
Great.
Conditional use is granted.
So I will send you a letter, a conditional use letter tomorrow, and finish the approval of the business license. Hopefully by Monday, you should be good to go. And if you've got any further questions, please call and let us know. And best of luck to you in your business.
Thank you for your time. All right, we will move on then to agenda item number 4, rezone request for and public hearing for His Farms Park, located at 1625 South, 550 East, from R18 single family to PU public use.
Thank you, Chair Packer. Yes, these are the last 2 of the parks that we have to rezone, so we're almost through all of them. This is Hess Farms Park over on the eastern side of the city. It's roughly 2 acres. It's currently zoned R18 single family, and we're changing that to the public use zone. As you can see, it's just there on the border with Fruit Heights, and the surrounding zoning is all R18. And then, as you can see on the future land use map, this is indicated as parks, so this application would be supported. General plan does not speak to the zoning designation of parks, so it's considered neutral. And as far as noticing and comments, 100 notices were mailed out, and we did get 6 phone calls on this particular rezone, mostly just inquiring what the plans were for the park and what would be changing. And once that was explained, no one had any concerns or questions. So with that, based on support from the 22 general plans, staff recommends Planning Commission provide a recommendation of approval to the City Council for the rezone of Hess Farms Park located at 1625 South, 550 East from R18 Single Family Residential to PU Public Use.
All right, thanks. We'll do a call to the public, open up a public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on this issue? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commission.
I did not know we were the proud owners of this park. I know that ship's already sailed, but if this neighborhood had an HOA, I wouldn't have had to move.
We were neighbors.
Yeah. But I understand what we're doing is bringing the appropriate zoning and designation for city-owned parks in line. And I would move we approve the rezone request from R118 to PU Public Use.
Second it.
Okay, motion in the second. Any discussion? Okay. Call for the vote then.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Public hearing rezone request for Gailey Park, located at 200 South, 300 West, also to a public use zoning.
Thank you, Chair Packer. So this, again, is Gailey Park, roughly 5.7 acres from R18, again, to public use. This one consists of 3 separate parcels, that little triangle there, the main portion of the park, and then that far north portion. And again, it's surrounded primarily by R18 zoning. Like the previous item, this is supported by the general plan, or by the future land use map, and the general plan is considered neutral. And then as far as noticing and public comment, we sent out 131 notices, and we had 2 phone calls just asking what was happening to the park and if anything was changing. So with that, staff is recommending approval based on support from the general plan and recommends the Planning Commission provide a recommendation of approval to the City Council for the rezone of Gailey Park at 200 South, 300 West from R18 Single Family Residential to PU Public Use.
Very good. Once again, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this rezone? Okay. We'll close the public hearing and open it up to the commission.
I think this is just like the rest of them we've done, and it's pretty simple. So I recommend approval of the proposed rezone for Gailey Park from R18 Single Family Residential to PU in accordance with the general plan.
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. We'll call for a vote then.
Aye.
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 All right. Unanimous vote. Recommend approval to the City Council. Approval of the minutes from March 12th. A very long meeting, if I remember.
That was fantastic.
I love those kind of minutes. 17 minutes. You guys are all nervous now that we...
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Other matters?
All right. Well, many of you watched the ULUI conference last week. Also, Dave, you had an opportunity to attend it.
I did.
Would you like to share anything that you learned with us?
I would say that it was very enlightening. There is so much information, new information coming out regarding PIDs and so many other things that I think we can wrap our heads around and learn from. And I learned so much in one day. And I'm not knocking any other organizations, but it was head and shoulders above the APA conference I attended back in October.
Great, so it's worth your time.
It was so good, and I would recommend that, anybody who can attend the next one. And I think Wilf was telling me that's going to happen in Sandy. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's October in Sandy.
Yeah. And so they did a great job. And I was engrossed all day long.
Well, good.
And
Megan and Aries, you both watched it?
Yeah, it was really great. It came across really well on being at home. So I appreciated that option. It worked out well for my schedule. And I thought it was well prepared, good subjects.
Worth your time.
Definitely worth it.
Put that in the minutes that it was done better than the APA.
Go well. Go well.
I cut the meeting out. There was like a huge gap in the meeting. Sorry,
mic on
technical
or off?
difficulties. So, yeah, and Aries, you got to watch it as well.
I did. My favorite part of it was when there's a little bit of debate, a little bit of heated exchange. I like that. I thought
Regarding what? I want to know.
it was healthy, but it was really good. So,
Well, good. Well, thanks for taking the time last Friday to do that. And Wilf can probably explain a little bit more. The state legislature just passed DADUs. So much fun to say. So you've got your detached accessory dwelling units for properties with 11,000 square feet or more. Miss Greenwood, my director, said that we'll be having a discussion in regards to these DADUs on April 8th on our next meeting. They have come to Planning Commission 2 other times, and we'll be able to discuss maybe some potential ordinance for our own city here. You look at me very bewildered.
Well, April 8th is the APA conference, the not-so-good conference.
Yeah, that's why we're just going to have a meeting over the top of it. You won't be here. Nobody else will be
Melinda
here.
won't be here either, will she? I think she's speaking.
No, but the thought was maybe just start the discussion and just minutes and things from the 2 meetings previous over the last 5 years as it has come, and maybe things that we want to see put into that ordinance. But I can also take that suggestion back to Melinda, and we could potentially put it on to another meeting.
The 8th is a Wednesday. So
so it would be the 9th.
Sorry, my bad. Great job. Yeah. Math is hard sometimes.
I don't know if that changes.
And that might change it a little bit because we've got the small area plan coming back on April 23rd. Is that the right date?
Downtown plan?
The city center plan that we've got going here. So it sounds like what has come back to us has been, Melinda was very happy with the report that had been returned, and so she's combing through that right now. And so plan to have that on our agenda. I don't know if we'll have a discussion with that and the small area plan on the same night. That might be a lot to add all into one meeting. So, yeah, that's what I have as far as reports, correspondence, and calendar.
Is there no date attached to the detached units? It's part of the law now immediately?
I believe it goes into effect October
Yeah, you have till October to do anything
To
on
put,
it.
okay, and we have to put together some ordinances and stuff.
Yeah, so the state gives us guidelines, and then as the city, we can maybe, and you can probably speak better to this, but different setbacks, what we would like to have or have accommodated to our city.
All the nuts and bolts.
We can personalize it within the parameters that they've set.
Right, yeah, I mean, we don't have to do anything, and then just the state law will prevail, but we should. You know, and put our own, some of the things that we can put into the code, we should put those in.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know we have that timeline then to
Yep.
to get it done.
It will come fast, though. October will be here before you know.
Say that.
Oh, it's fine. So, anyway, that concludes reports, correspondence, and calendar, item number 7. So,
All right, so next meeting will be the 9th then.
correct.
Is anybody going to the APA conference?
Melinda will be there speaking.
And I'll
at-
be there.
And you'll be there.
I mean, now that I know it's not in.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna say,
I was going to go.
kind of dissed it, you know?
It's in Bryce Canyon.
I
mean,
went
it
to one of those, it was good too.
should be fabulous, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Have to move. I move to adjourn.
all right, we are adjourned.
All right. Thank you, commissioners.